Hello, TDF. How are you? We are
Hi,
here.
TDF fans.
I'm Graciela Daniele, and
And I'm Michael John LaChiusa.
the beauty by my side is Michael John.
And the beauty by my side is Graciela Daniele. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm okay, getting older,
Yeah.
but yes. And oh, I don't know. Every time I wake up, I say maybe I'm younger today, but it's not
Oh.
true at all. It's
Uh,
older and older.
you're getting the chassis all tuned up, right?
Uh huh.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
It's
So
called maintenance. So we're
so
here to talk and share with TDF fans some stuff about us, you and I. We've been friends for like, oh my God. There's
I can't remember the years, but I know it's
Well,
been a
there's
long
a
time.
question that's been asked here. I'll read it for you. You two have been friends for decades, dating back
Yes.
to the early '90s. Can you talk about how you met?
Oh,
We
early
can't. Can we
nineties.
just need to remember?
Well, I do remember. I do remember. May I tell the story?
Go, you tell the story.
Okay. Um, it starts when I was working at Playwrights Horizons and doing a show by Lynn Ahrens and Stephen Flaherty,
Once on
and
this island.
once on this island, yes. And then it was very successful and moved to Broadway. Now the producers, Andrew Bishop, and the producer of the musical side that helped us, they moved to Lincoln Center, and they called me and said, "Would you like to work with us? You have some ideas. We could do workshops." And so I have an idea already immediately, and I talked about a book that I had read centuries ago in Germany and I loved. And I said, I think it would be a wonderful chamber musical. Ira Weinstein said to me, I know the person for you. And I said, who is that? He says, Michael John LaChiusa. So I had heard of Michael John's work, but I had never seen any, and didn't meet him. And so Ira says, I'm going to put you in contact. So Michael John calls me, and we talk about the piece, the ideas. He said, "Oh, why don't we meet?" So he came home. We talked for a little while. He asked very, very bright questions about how to develop it. And then he said to me, "Well, let me write the first song." And. So I said, "Well, fine, we'll meet." And I thought, well, it'll be a week, 2 weeks. The next day, he says, "Can I come home to your house?" I said, "Yes." He sat at the piano, and he had composed, wrote the lyrics, did everything of the first scene of Hello Again. So the moment I heard this, when I saw how fast he was, how brilliant he was, I didn't call anybody. Yes, I called and I said, I want him. I want to work with his men. So that's how we met. But I didn't remember the year. I don't have good
I don't
memory.
remember the year. All I remember is I remember being at your home and playing you a song, and then you screamed.
Yes, I was.
I was
I
like,
always scream when
is
I.
she
I'm
okay?
always.
Is she mad at me? Why is she screaming? And I was like, okay. And then I went, oh, she's crazy. Like I am
Yes.
crazy. And that's when okay, I have to work with this woman here. It was such a delightful thing. I was so inspired by the piece, so inspired by what you want to do and the freedom that you gave me. I've never experienced that before with working with another director in quite, in my, career, which was short at that time. I was just beginning as a
You
writer.
were a baby.
Well, yeah, I guess, but that was all I remember of it all. And of course, Ira was the one who brought us together. Wonderful Ira Weitzman at Lincoln Center. He
Yes,
was the one to put
yes.
us together, and I think we hit it off pretty fast. It was
Yeah.
pretty instantaneous, like. For me, it was. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm with a crazy person who's like so fabulous, and she's pretty, and I can do this." And I was never. I've never been the type that I've never been what they call a shy violet. You know what I mean? It's like I'm always like,
No, you're not.
no, I'm not. And so but it made me feel so comfortable to be in a room with you because I went, oh yeah, I know what this is about. And I'd seen Once on this Island too, and I remember leaving Once on this Island dancing down the street.
Yes.
And I thought, I want to work with this lady, this beautiful woman.
Well, it was love at first sight. I mean,
I think it was. For me,
it
it
really,
was.
it really
For me, it was
was.
love at first sight. Because I went, oh my God, and I thought, well, I know she's a Latino, but she seems so Italian.
Well, my father was
You used
Italian.
the hands, and you were
Yeah,
like, ah, and I thought, familia.
yes, no. So it was, and it was an extraordinary experience.
It
We
was,
had
wasn't it?
cast
It
the
really
cast,
was.
and we did it immediately. I mean, he worked. I don't know. It was like a couple of months. We were already in
We
rehearsal.
wrote very fast. We did.
It
We wrote.
was so fast. He's so fast in everything he writes, and good. And
Thank
uh, and so we first did the workshop, right? Did you?
Yeah,
We
well,
one workshop or two?
we
A
did a
reading
reading
first.
of it
Yeah,
at
a reading.
Lincoln
Yeah.
Center, and some parts were not finished yet. We sort of talked through some sections of it all, and it's mostly to show Andre what we had been working on, and then they put it in the fast track for a workshop
Yeah,
immediately.
that's right.
But remember when the first draft of it all had a character called the Young Thing in it,
Yes, yes.
and originally it was all, if ones who are not familiar with Laurent, it's a daisy chain. A meets B, character B meets C, character C meets D, and on it goes for 10 scenes until we wrap around again and we meet A again. So it's about people searching for their true love, but going about it in pretty much all the wrong ways you can. And it was it's a beautiful, beautiful play about humanity and how we seek love, and yet also to our carnal desires too that inform us, because we're only animals, And so it was really wonderful, and we were working on it, and it was a lot of male, female, male, female, male, female, because that's the original play. And for our first reading, we had wonderful Jane Grakowski was our Young Thing.
That's right.
And we were going to go, and then we were going to go into workshop, and we were auditioning people for it because we needed to fill some other roles. And John Cameron Mitchell came in, and I was blown away. I went, oh my God, what do I do with this? Where can we put him in the show? There's no other role for him. All the guys' roles were kind of cast. It was all done. And I said, Gracie, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I went home afterwards. I remember after the audition, I went home and I wrote the Young Thing. I turned him into a man. And I remember calling you and saying, oh, honey, I just made great Jane Grakowski into a boy. Is that okay? And you go for it. And that's how we got wonderful time. It was wonderful.
So extraordinary. It was the original play was called La Ronde. Is it that I wrote in Germany when I was living there, and it was by Schnitzer, and it happened. The one idea that Michael John had, and that just blew me over, was your first idea was, you don't want to do it in turn of the century. I said, oh no, my God, you have to. He said, what about if we just do it through different centuries or certain times in America? And I went like, okay, I like his mind. His mind is totally, it never goes to the obvious.
Well, we talked about it, and I think that I was trying to set one scene in Cuba during the Cuban Revolution, and it wasn't working. And you said, well, you just keep it in America. And I think that's how we stayed in America, is how we did, because I was struggling with the scene, and it's just I can't get this Cuban thing. It's just not coming to me. It's not making any juices flow. And I think that's how we so it was a collaborative thing. By the way, your lighting looks fabulous. No wonder you're married to Jules Fisher, aren't you?
Yeah, it shows all the wrinkles.
He has to come and do my lighting.
All of the wrinkles.
He has to do my lighting. Mine sucks. I look like a ghost or something in this. Ooh.
No, you look young and beautiful.
Honey, but we had a wonderful experience doing it, and it sort of launched a wonderful friendship too over the years. And it's been you are like my mother. You are like
I told you already. I don't have children, so to me, if I had a child, I would like it to be you, because you have all the things that I admire in
a gay,
people,
sassy, sarcastic.
You have that brat quality in you.
I know, total brat. I know.
Laugh so hard all the time.
We do.
And
Oh
yes,
my God. We get in trouble, don't we?
we
We
get
get
in trouble. The good thing is that because I'm the director, I'm not, I keep things quiet.
Yes, you do. The shows are such hard work,
Yeah.
and and if you don't have fun, and that's the thing that I've learned working with you, that if you can't fucking laugh at fucking shit, it's just, oh, are we
That's
allowed to use,
okay. It's okay. They won't say they
they'll
scratch
bleep
that.
me? They'll
Yeah.
bleep me. If
Yes.
you don't have fun working
That's it.
on the
Yeah.
thing and find something to laugh at, which we always do, manage to find something to laugh about, even in the midst of the worst
Yes.
scenarios. We're
Yes.
terrifying. Collaboration is a
The-
marriage,
That's right.
and you have to have humor. Here's
Yeah.
another question here, Grazie.
Work
You've
together.
worked together on multiple shows on Broadway and beyond. What are your most treasured collaborations?
The last one.
The last one. I would have
It's
to
always
say
the
yes.
last one because
It's
I
always
want
the
another
last one.
one.
Our beautiful show, A
Yeah.
Gardens of Enuncia.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
yes.
particular one, the last one that we did in San Diego, that just opened what 2 months ago, something like that.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
The
it,
Gardens of Enuncia.
it has a very interesting uh, history behind. Michael John, many times he would say, "Well, had such an interesting life. It would be. I would love to write a musical about yourself." I said, "I don't want to live my life twice." And he went on and on. And then finally one day, it was after you invited me to, was it
Oh, I
NYU,
had you up. I was teaching at Columbia, and you
Columbia?
came
Yeah.
up to visit with the class, and I was teaching a class, and I would bring guest artists into, particularly, people who've been in the business for a really long time to, let them know what it's like to have a career for a long period of time, because longevity is part and parcel of what we do. How do you sustain a career over a number of years? And you're a great example of that. You're always inventing and always doing something new. And so it's great having you up there. But while you were talking to the students, and I thought I'd heard all your stories over the years, over, many nightcaps and
Vodka.
and sitting during texts, long texts, and hearing wonderful
Yes.
stories about growing up in Argentina. Oh my God, fascinating, beautiful stories. I thought I'd heard pretty much all the stories, except that you told a new one in the class in Columbia, and I was like, why didn't you tell me that one? And we afterwards we went out for our martinis. We have the same martinis. I think that's also too the thing. We drink very, very, very dry Tito's martini straight
Yes.
up.
Yeah.
3 olives.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're over at Martinez, and I said, "You didn't tell me that story. I am going to go home tonight, and I'm writing this musical about your life." And you said, "No, no, 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 you're not. You're going to write it if you want to, about my mother, my grandmother, and my tia, my aunt." And that was the deal.
That was it.
I went home that night and I wrote the opening number.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I did.
It was quite extraordinary. And again, as usual, we were very fast. So we were ready to go.
It was
And
fast.
then of course, and we did 2 readings, I think, no workshop, but a couple of readings. And we had the opportunity of going to the old club that almost like 2 years ago, was it? We were ready to go.
Right, we were ready. We were
And then
getting ready to
coronavirus
go.
came in. Yeah.
And
So we had to wait.
we were all shut down. The nation shut down. It was one of the greatest heartbreaks of my life, because we literally were ready to get on the plane. Everything was in order. Our cast was all ready. Travel was made. We were getting our travel
The
arrangements.
designers, everybody, we had
And then,
everything.
boom.
Cast everything. And
Boom.
it was quite.
And it was traumatic to me.
Yeah.
It was deeply traumatic to me, because and people were like, and as you mentioned, and I am prolific. I do write a lot. It's because it's what I love doing. But people were like going to me during the whole COVID crisis, and they were going, "Oh, Michael John, I bet you've written 100 musicals by now." And I'm going, "No, I haven't. I'm in grief. I have lost not just the Beautiful Gardens show. I've lost 3 other shows that were supposed to premiere. All that work was just stopped, and I was in great grief for a good 6 months about it. And then, of course, you work through it. You write something new. You move on, and then we got that wonderful email from Barry Edelson, who runs the Globe there, and saying, "We're going ahead. we're reopening, and we want
Unbelievable.
Gardens of Enuncia to be the first show in indoors at our theater, and it was actually the first new musical done
Yeah.
in the country inside. And we were interested in seeing how audiences would be coming back to the theater, but they were slow at first coming back because we had protocols, vaccinations, you know, all that stuff had to be in order to go back into the theater like it is currently, you know. But
it should be
a little bit, everybody started coming back, word of mouth got out, and we ended that run on a high. It was just a remarkable experience working on it. Difficult for you, I think, because
no, it wasn't. It was extraordinary. It was one of the most extraordinary experiences I ever had, because I had to. I was reliving the wonderful years of being educated and inspired and loved and, you know, spoiled by these extraordinary three women. And of course, you know, I live with that. They're all gone now. And I lived remembering them, but all of a sudden seeing them incarnating in these marvelous actors who immediately just took on those roles, and they were so perfect, you know. I didn't have to do too much, and it was all because the material was so good, so honest, so funny, so emotional. And so, of course, you know, there were a lot of tears coming down, but not tears of difficulty, tears of love and joy and gratitude to them and to you, Michael Jones.
And it really was my Valentine too, because you know how much I love you, and it was just, but also too, because I remember you saying, you know, when your Tia passed away, and she died at what, 101 years old, I think, right?
No, it was 90, yeah.
Something 90. Very, yeah. And you remember we were talking about her passing, and you said, and now I'm an orphan. There's no one left. And I think that sort of began was a little seed for me to weave into the story about when you had to bury your aunt, and she's buried in your garden.
In my garden, in the country,
in beautiful country home there. You and your husband have.
And I had her ashes, and you put it in the show. It was wonderful.
And we did. I put it in the show the day of the burial.
And you know, I wanted to bury her in the place that she loved the most about in the country, a bench by you know, in the back country, the back gardens.
Fucking benches,
and
fucking
I had
benches.
that box for 3 months, and I couldn't do it. I just could not. I didn't want to. Even the ashes, it was a tiny little box, and I couldn't do it. And finally, I asked my husband to help me. And I went there, but I couldn't even dig. I just sat and cried and cried.
Of course, because you're the only one left, and you were the only one left to remember. And I remember thinking that, I thought, well, okay, I'm a writer. I'll solve that problem. Now they'll be remembered, you know, forever and ever. They're a part of, you know, literature now, you know, and it's kind of great to be able to do that.
And that song, there is never a goodbye. It's like
there is never a goodbye.
Think about it. It's like, oh my God.
There is never a goodbye. There's no dividing up. There's no cord that can be cut. The phenomenon is this: that beyond a touch or a kiss, beyond this life we know, we will always say hello.
Hello again.
Hello again. Right? Exactly. God comes around.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think that's one of your great gifts, and why I love working with you so much, is because of your background in ballet, your background in dance, where minimalism is very important to the theatricality of a piece, to the magic of a piece.
If the piece is well written.
Yeah, well, yes, of course, that you don't need a lot of.
Because if it's not well written, you need stuff.
I got a fire alarm coming by. I'm sorry. Oops, sorry about that.
New York City.
New York City. Yeah. But I think that's really, really important, that you know, you don't need all the whistles and the all that crap that you often see when you go to see a show, when you can really, really just be much more magical by doing nothing in some cases, by having the most minimal of props on stage, the most minimal of you know, activity on stage. It just sometimes really, really makes you pay attention to the music,
and the words. Yes.
Exactly. And I think that's one of my favorite things about working with you is because I know, well, you never read my stage directions anyway.
Well, I do, but then
No,
I
you don't.
smile. No, I do. I
No,
smile.
yeah. I've given up when I'm writing a show for you. I've given up. I just put in she appears. You know, she
No,
vanishes.
my favorite one. I have to talk about my favorite one that you had in one moment. One of the characters, dies, passes, and she walks upstage, and her husband who had died appears and embraces her. But Michael John's stage direction was, and then she walks upstage, and then a pair of arms appear, and then another pair, and then 1,000 pair of arms appear. that's the kind of that's the kind of stage directions I get. And that's why I laugh.
I knew that it was like pointless to even write a stage direction for you. So I thought, and I remember you coming to me going, what does 1,000 arms mean? What does it mean? I said, well, it's in reference to something she says earlier about
Yes.
how powerful the
Yes.
embrace that the man that she loved gave her. And that just 2 arms felt like the world around her. So that's why it was in the script. But I knew you wouldn't do anything with it. I knew you wouldn't do anything with it.
I did a simple thing. He appears and they embrace and everybody cries. Because
exactly.
So that's.
Oh yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Earlier this fall at San Diego's Old Globe, you premiered Garden of Enuncia about Graciela's adolescent years in 1940s Argentina. Can you talk about the show's future?
If I still was a practicing Catholic, I would say I'm doing a rosary every single day. But
well, you know what? I'm optimistic it'll find a wonderful home soon. I'd like to go through. I want to do the piece one more time because I know it's musicals. You've been there, and for a writer, there's that opening night, and all of a sudden you watch your opening night, and you go, oh, I forgot to fix that.
Yes.
Because there's so much that you're doing, particularly when you're doing triple duty, like I sometimes do, foolishly. And I was watching opening night for Gardens. I was going, oh, damn it. I forgot I wanted to rewrite that scene and I just lost track of time with it all. And just in the midst of it all, you just sometimes forget to, you forget that was an important thing to look at. So I'd like to go back over it all. But I do think it'll find a place to do it. Right now, because of COVID, and I think because of a lot of programming problems that are backed up for 2 years.
Finally.
I think everybody's got a lot of things in queue right now. So we're going to have to sort of like wait for those things to play themselves out. And eventually I think it'll be done and you'll be back and doing it, moving your benches around again.
Putting the actors in roller skates so they can do it faster or something like
Here's a good question here. Here's a good one here, honey. Have you love this one. Have you worked on any projects that fell apart that you still think about?
Yes, of course. With you? Of course.
I guess with us.
We work on it, of course. Yeah. It was only one, right?
Only one.
Oh, yeah. It was only one. That we did rehearse, we did a workshop, and we invited people to the workshop, and nothing happened after that.
Yeah,
that was
early. Yeah, so one of my favorites.
Quite a while along, and it's a very good piece. And
yes, it is.
But it needs a lot of work. Yeah, from both sides. Yeah, to each other's.
But we're very lucky in that regards. I mean, there's so many times that people, don't even get it out the door. You know what I mean? A project, and you and I have been very, very
lucky. Yes.
You and I, everything that we have done, except for that one project, I think is we've gotten to production with it all. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that. You know what I mean? It's just amazing. Particularly the type of projects that both of us are interested in, because we're not interested in the standard fare stuff.
No.
We get bored real quickly, don't we?
Very fast. We do that to make money so that I can plant more trees in the country.
Oh yes.
Those projects I go into just to get some money. because in the projects that we have, we don't make too much money ever. It's too
No.
unusual, you know what I mean? So
No.
yeah, but the question about what was the best that I don't know. There was a question about what was that thing about? Yeah, talk about your favorite project that the other person worked on without you. Without me. Favorite. Oh, okay. The other person worked on
So
with.
time to be each other's biggest fan. Talk about your favorite project that the other person worked on without you. In other words, I can say I loved Once on This Island.
I see. Okay. And one that you did with somebody else. Oh,
Yes, that's what you're at. That's the question.
the daughter. The one
First
that puts
daughter
it.
suite. Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
that was
Yes.
fantastic. That was
But you know what?
fantastic.
That's a trick question because I don't I it's hard to ask that question because I mean I write musicals because I want to do something that I'm not seeing on
Yes.
stage.
Yes.
And you direct new musicals because you're not seeing what you want to see on stage.
True. Yes.
And that's why yeah, we have our favorite projects that you've done. You're brilliant. I mean, I love Tango Apasionado. I can go down the list.
Oh,
Everything you've
that
done
was
is
good.
wonderful.
And I
You
love
know,
the one that Mary Testa did. What was the name? That was the
oh,
one that
see what I want to see. Yeah, that was cool too.
that was terrific too.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, but we like our own projects.
We just laugh a lot when we work together, and I think that that's it's not so much that we're so creative, but we laugh a lot, even in the middle of desperation. We start
Oh
laughing.
my God.
We find the humor in things. You know what I mean? So
Well,
it
what was it? We were working on some show. I won't name names or anything. We're working on some show, you and I, and we had to unfortunately release an actor from
mhm,
the role,
mhm.
and it was which is very painful to do, but it was just an inevitability, and
Yes,
for the sake of the show, we had to let an actor go, and which is very rare to do, very very rare, and again very very difficult to do, because it's heartbreaking in some respects,
yes, it is.
but it has to be done. So this happened, and you are one of the most kind, most generous women I've ever met in my entire life. You were so kind, and you took the time to go and speak privately with the actor one on
Yes,
one, to
yes,
talk to the
absolutely.
actor, and actually offered the actor, anything that I can do to help you. Let me, just give me a call and make it easy for you, to do this transition out of this project here. And we love you, and we're moving on. So bye bye. Right? And then I get a call from you, an email from you. The actor decides to take you up on this. And the actor goes, Grazie, thank you so much for your sweet talk and how much and I, when you mentioned that you could be willing to help me, can you buy me a car? What the? No good
That
deed
was
goes
stupid.
unpunished. I was like, the actor asked you to do what? To buy a car.
Those
he,
are
he
really
can't get
things
out of
that,
town without a car.
yeah, yeah. Oh no.
Oh
And
my
he
God.
did have a car. He did have a car, but instead of
You want to get a
asking,
new one.
but yeah, you went to a new one. You sent me a picture of it of the.
He said, I know. He said, what?
I don't know. I mean,
I think
maybe some actors think that directors will make a lot of money. I have no idea. I mean, it's like, oh jeez.
well,
Anyway.
at that point, to get him out of town, I think you would have bought him a Lear jet, right? Or something.
Like a job.
You see, no good deed goes unpunished. That's
Yes,
that's
that's
for
true.
your generosity and your beautiful name, Graciela, your beautiful grace. Some people just
Well, I love, again, I don't have children, and um, I learned that the family, besides the women that I don't have anymore, the family we create in every show we do, especially with you. I mean, there's a sense of, togetherness and working positively for the best of the show. So I do I think even when I was young, I felt maternal towards the people that that I work with. I want them to be well taken care of. I'm
Yes, you
serious
do.
in the work. I'm firm about the work. I don't let them do whatever they want to do. But I want to treat them as children because I think that actors somehow they have that kind of childlike quality about discovering new things and they have private problems too, so I worry about them, and not only the actors, the rest of the gang too. And I think that creating that atmosphere is like creating a good family where there can be discussions about something or not agreeing with something. Like you and I, sometimes we don't agree, but we don't kill each other. We try to find what I want to do, and you do it.
Yep.
That's not true. That was a joke.
No, it's not a joke. No, it's not
You
a joke.
always say that to me.
The other thing,
Always say
yeah,
what
that's
you
what I'm saying.
want.
She's like, she loves to play the kindly mommy.
Yes, I do. I do. And I know that what helps me enormously is my accent. And and therefore I every single morning together when I do my physical exercises so that I can move because I can't move too well anymore, I practice it. I practice it. I practice my accent. I don't want to speak like you because my accent makes me sound very nice and kind and sweet.
You practice your accent.
Oh my God, we shouldn't say that
You
to the
don't do that.
TDF
She
students,
does, honey.
please.
You if you, honey, I say if you're you have to practice harder
I,
because I don't understand half of what you say all the time. And then and now because of COVID, we were just joking beforehand. But when you had the mask on, I'm going, what the hell is she saying? What the hell? And I said, are you
I
going to
don't
wear
even
that
understand
mask?
myself when I put the mask
But
on. It's just the way.
and and people they're people have asked us like saying, well, you're this age and Grazie's that age. I mean, how does that work? I mean, there's just years of things. And it's just because we don't understand each other ever.
Ever.
You never know.
But we do love each other. We love each other.
We love each other.
Yes,
That's true.
yes.
That's very true. But I think it's one of the good things that we do. I really never know exactly what you're talking about, and you don't ever know exactly what I'm talking about. But for some reason, it
Absolutely.
kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It kind of
Yeah.
balances out.
Anyway.
Okay, Graciela, you've been a TDF mentor for high school students, and Michael John, you teach at NYU. Why is theater education important to you? We had to talk
Well,
about this the other day. Didn't we have a conversation just the other day about
yes,
students? And,
but giving to pushing the new people. But I have to say something. I was with TDF years ago for many years, and I was I think one of the three first people who did it. And I have to confess, it was the best time in my life. Taking these children from this, I always ask, don't give me expensive schools or anything. Give me the ones that don't have too much. And taking these children every single year, these new students, 7, 8 students, to watch a show, and then sitting around pizza and talking for an hour, 2 hours, and noticing I wasn't talking. I wanted them to talk, and noticing how the first day was kind of tentative, and then by the second time they just ate pizza and took over, and their passion and the connection that they found between their private lives with so many problems, like the Harvey Milk School, for instance. I mean,
yes, very
so
difficult.
many problems that they had to deal with every single day of
And
their
so
life,
young with those
and
problems.
so young. And so when I knew that over the schools, I always tried very much to find the pieces, the theatrical pieces, not just entertainment, but that they would deal with the harshness of life, and how little by little, by the second session, it was like it wasn't about the show so much. It's about what they got from it and what they learned and how they wanted to change themselves in order to achieve that. When the piece is good, that's what happens.
Right.
It's not
Exactly.
just going to have entertainment, laugh, and applaud. Is to think and to listen, and that's the kind of theater I love, and that's the reason why I adore your work.
Well, that's when we were one of our usual on the phone talks and stuff the other day. I was talking about my teaching at the NYU and the students, and some of the heartache that I feel for what they have gone through, and how they have to address some things, as writers now, and with the COVID crisis still on our backs, and how they can get around and be productive writers in spite of the environment that they're in, and always question what is art, and that art isn't going to give you answers.
Yeah.
And that if you're demanding answers, then it's not art. You're not looking at it as art. Art asks questions, and good art is what makes you go, well, who am I? And in trying to get my students, writers, they're writers of musical theater, to always go, what am I? Who am I? Question themselves all the time, and never to have that, and to combat the self-doubt that one feels. It's a battle, particularly these days with the internet, which puts such I find a block between
too much,
between people, because we need to be together, you know what I mean, to experience the thing we call humanity. And so it's a tricky thing, and I feel for them very much, because the tools aren't there for them. Even though they have a vast array of technical tools, the humanitarian tools aren't there for them.
That's right.
And so that's why it's absolutely important for all students to be exposed to the arts and the theater, because it's that one-on-one communication that's necessary. Live theater is necessary. And when those programs are cut in schools and they're cut away from a budget, you're hurting children more than you need to hurt them. It's harmful to deny them the rights to go to a museum or to go to the theater. It's harming children, and that's what we don't want to do. So anytime you see or read about people cutting budgets in the arts and saying, "Oh, we're going to get rid of this theater program," or "We're not being," for financial reasons, you are harming children. And we know what, and you harm a child, you go to jail, don't you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you harm the future. I mean,
yes, you do. Exactly.
This is
exactly. So we have to be on it. We have to ride it, and we have to give as much as we possibly can to our young people, and give back as much as we can in the theater. Because again, it's that live connection, that beautiful thing of being together and suspending your belief. Just suspending reality for a second. I mean, that's what I love. I think, and you taught me this the most, I think, is that nothing's real in the friggin' theater. Nothing's real.
No.
Walk at the little ticket stub that we get when we walk through the door is a contract, right?
Yes.
It's a contract. It says, and the contract is, I will go into this theater for an hour or so, or however long the play is, and I will suspend my disbelief for this amount of time. They'll see lighting equipment, they'll see makeup, they'll see the microphones, they'll see orchestra people. It's all not real, but they'll suddenly believe it is.
Yes.
And that's the contract that we sign as writers and directors and actors. We sign that contract with that audience member, and we have to provide that for them. And that nothing's real, so it can be anything it wants to be. It's so exciting to work with.
And the wonderful thing about that is that it probes that disbelief, that unreality, probes your mind.
Yes.
To dream and to search for something different, or some improvement, or some question. And so it's so exciting. It's better than a good meal, Oh,
yeah. It's like, not to say that we don't want to go to the theater and just laugh, you know what I mean? And just have a good time.
But even that is terrific.
It sure is. It sure is. I mean,
I don't have to go to the theater when I work with you. I just laugh all the time.
Well, we don't have to go to the theater. You and I find ways to entertain each other, like,
I know.
it's
I
like,
know.
another thing too that I love most about working with you, and it is that environment. You mentioned about the environment and how you create a room and of a nurturing room.
Yes.
There are
Yes.
there's no wrong, and that word no doesn't exist in your rehearsal room. You know
No.
what I mean? There's no in your rehearsal
Mm-mm.
room.
Even
And
when I,
I've learned that from working
yeah,
with you.
but even if I disagree sometimes, I never say no. I say
No,
try it.
try it.
And I
Try
know
it.
it's not gonna. And if the actor or whoever it is smart and they're doing their job, they're gonna be. "Oh, I was wrong there. That was a bad choice."
Yes,
It
so
has
no.
happened. It happens because we don't hire dummies. We hire great actors.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Well, you work with mediocre people and they'll bring you on down. Why would you work with mediocre people?
No.
Blah. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. But that environment though, and that wonderful playground is
Yes.
essential to have, and I've learned that, I'm not Moses coming down from the mountains with the 10 commandments in my hands going, you must sing as written. I'm not doing that. I come down and I say, here's a big wheelbarrow of crappy old clay, play.
Right.
It's not sacred material, and I feel like sometimes I've been in environments too where, it's sacred, you know what I mean? And so precious and all that stuff. And it's like, yes, we know it is. We know it is sacred. We know it's precious. We understand that part of it all, but it can't feel like that
No.
because then mistakes happen and people feel straitjacketed and then creativity is stifled.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
feel like you never have a room, whenever I'm in the room with you, it's a room of joie de vivre.
Yes,
It's
it has to be. It has to be. Even if it's a
joie de vivre.
drama, it has to be.
Yes.
During the Gardens of Enuncia, there were a lot of tears going on
We
around,
cried a
right?
lot.
But because it was
Yeah.
emotional,
Yes, it was.
but there was a lot of laughter too.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it was a lot. Mary
especially
Testa.
when somebody wanted for me to buy him a car.
Oh, yes, you got to laugh about that. But when you have wonderful actors, like one of my favorite actors to work with, and yours too, is you've known her actually longer than I have, Mary Testa,
Yeah.
for instance. Is a great actress and she's one of the funniest, right? But what they say about great comedians, they're the best actors, right?
Yes.
But I'll never forget. Your grandmother had a great saying. We were doing Marie Christine, which Mary was in. Mary Testa was in.
Another
We were
great
doing this
show that we did.
brilliant workshop that you did at the South Beth, was it? West Beth. We were
West Bend.
downtown at West Beth in the heat of the summer. And it was truly one of the most remarkable experiences. Ask anybody who saw that, ask anybody who was in that. It was truly one of the most extraordinary
You
experiences
mean you're
I've
talking
ever
about
been.
tango?
The,
Tango Apasionado. Yeah.
yeah, that was
That was the
remarkable.
first time I directed. That's
Brilliant.
my first time directing it.
Brilliant. But also too, Marie Christine was done there at West Beth too. It's a magic place, right?
Yes.
But I remember you were addressing the company at one point, and you said, my grandmother used to say, you keep climbing up the mountain bit by bit and don't look down whatever you do.
That's right.
Right? And Mary Testa said, my grandmother said, sit down, I'm watching Bonanza.
I remember that.
It was like, wah! Always a good for laugh. So when you have people like that in the room, it just makes it, it's like you take the serious with the really serious hard work and the tears, and then just make out that levity, to have a good time. Because the world's so hard, isn't it?
That's right.
The world is a hard world. If you can't laugh at it.
Anyway, so
what shows are you excited to see as theaters continue to reopen?
New, all new.
Well, Gardens of Enuncia, please. Anybody?
New pieces. I respect revivals, and I think they're very important to do because the young people who didn't see them should get a chance. But please, just give the opportunity to great artists, great writers, composers, lyricists that are in America. The best people are here. give them the chance of doing new stuff. We had a good run with Lincoln Center because they really for a while, Michael John, they did a lot of your work and my work
He
together,
did, yeah,
and it
yeah,
was
really
always
good.
new and
That was,
dangerous, not yeah.
yeah.
So that kind of support, I think, is so important from the institutions.
Yes, and also too to hear, voices of the POC and our indigenous voices need to be heard, as well as women's voices need to be heard, and to give them the proper platforms and the proper, situations that allow them to speak and sing and move.
Hmm.
We need to
Hmm.
have that, but that's bravery, and
Yeah,
everybody's playing a little too safe for my book,
I agree.
Playing
I
safe is
agree.
not, it's playing safe makes you money, but it also compromises culture, it compromises societal change, it compromises everything. And that's what I'm excited to see. Maybe not so much the theater part of things, but cultural change that's
Yes.
happening right now is very exciting to me, and I'm very eager to see what the results of it will be,
Mhm.
because we've got a lot of learning to do, as the song says.
Yep.
Got a lot of learning to do. Last question! Exclamation point. What lessons do you hope the theater industry learned during the shutdown?
Oh my God.
What do you hope they learned?
The what?
What do you hope they learned?
What do you hope they learn?
'Cause I don't
Well,
think they
maybe
learned anything.
the what? What?
I don't
Maybe
think
what?
they learned anything. Obviously, they're being
Well,
assholes
I was,
still.
as usual, I'm more hopeful than you are. I just repeating what I said before. I hope that they learn that you don't need millions of dollars to create a new show, because you don't need to have extraordinary staircases and costumes and the times of follies where I was, the original follies that I was in. It was extraordinary. I mean, and it only costed $900,000 in that time, of course, but it was a huge thing. But it's not necessary. An empty room with one chair and a great actor can sometimes supply much more um, information, knowledge, wisdom, emotion than big spectacles.
Catharsis, and then catharsis too.
So
Moving in.
I am saying that perhaps instead of thinking, oh, we need, $30 million to do this, maybe you can do a good play, simple play, like Gardens, with only 7 actors and just one set. Uh, that is not that cost, that is not expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get your money back, and you're going to give to the audience to what I expect when I go to the theater. You know, that catharsis, that emotion,
Yeah.
that those questions that will continue living in me years late after I saw the show. So I hope you're right in that.
All I
And
know is, I'm with you, honey. I just that's
I
so
know you
beautiful.
are.
I really can't even top it, but and I don't want to add to it. Although I was reading this Times article about how everybody on Broadway, after they got back to starting doing their shows again, a lot of the show's writers were scrambling around trying to rewrite their scripts because they realized, ooh, we were a little, we have to rewrite our script because of certain movements and stuff like that, and try to address the I'm thinking, you didn't think about this when you wrote it originally. You didn't think about that this woman's not empowered here. You didn't think about that. You didn't think about this line. You didn't think about that. You didn't think about this issue. I mean, what is wrong with people? Oh, now you're just getting it. So if COVID did anything, maybe it woke up people
Yes,
that. But again, I
hopefully.
kind of go, you didn't get it.
I know.
And I went back to my own work and I thought, is there anything here that I'm sort of missed in the all the new conversation, all the open discussion out there? And is there something that I might have missed about in my work? I went through my work and I went, no, I actually thought about it. I thought
Hmm.
about what
Hmm.
it was I wanted to say in my work, and address those issues. And so I go, what's wrong with people? Why can't they think? So I hope COVID made people think a little bit more. I don't know. I'm Italian. I'm a pessimist.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are. You're trying to convince yourself so that you don't suffer so much. Right. No. Just keep on writing. That's all. I love you, Michael John.
I love you too.
And I love you,
so much.
TDF. Thank you
Love
so
you
much
too,
for
TDF.
listening to these two crazy people.
Support TDF,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you.